First time advice for first time vehicle car buyers. This I'm gonna give this to you like to make it like a lot easier. There's a lot more to it as far as like the bank side and all that other stuff. But when your son, yourself, anybody is a first time buyer for a vehicle, the bank typically likes you to buy a new car because buying a new car, it has more value to them. So if something comes up and they have to, I don't know, say they have to repo the car or they have to, something happens or you wreck the car has more value to the bank as a new car and because it has warranty and has all those other wonderful things. That's why it's more difficult to get a used car for a first-time buyer. Now, keep in mind, if you're a first-time buyer and you're establishing your credit for the first time, this is what we're talking about. Like if you're a first-time auto buyer and you own 6 houses, that's different. But we're talking about like a first-time buyer establishing their credit, your kid coming out of college, you've paid for cash, everything your whole life. So typically on your first time, the bank wants you to buy a new car, okay? Like I said, it protects everyone all the way around, including you. And then they want you to finance on your first try, 20 grand and under is about the right number. Now, that's based on statistics that I personally came up with from doing my job for so long. And we're pretty much in agreement with everyone else that 20 grand is, as a salesperson, when I know I have a first time buyer, I know I need to be at 20 grand on a new car. What does that mean? So 20 grand total finance at the bottom line is the number we need to be at. So if you're on a $30,000 car and that's the one you want, hey, I'll sell you anything you want, I promise. But you're going to need $10,000 down to make that 20,000. Okay. Your bank might know you better. But as far as like, getting new to the system and going into a dealership and doing these things, you're going to need about that amount, 10,000 down. Okay. That means you've got skin in the game. The bank's just getting to know you. And they don't want to go over 20 grand on a first time buyer. That's not something I wrote. That's not something, I made up. I want to sell more cars. I wish they would approve everybody with no money down for a $40,000 truck. I'd be rich. So that's just the way it works. And, just trying to make it easy for everybody else because when I came into the game, I didn't know these things. Now, let's say you're on a $17,000 new car. If those exist, we make Yaris's and stuff. And it gets to be about 19.5 out the door. Okay, well, you say, well, hey man, I'm under 20 grand. I don't need no money down. You still probably gonna need a little bit of money down, but not as much. You're not gonna need 5 grand down. I would say a safe down payment when you're under 20 grand would be the taxes, the tag, and the dealer fees. Dealer fees are different at every dealer. They all have them. I wish I could snap my fingers and they go away. I'd sell more cars. But generally your taxes and all that stuff runs you between 2 and 3 grand, give or take. Now, don't come back and say, oh, well, the guy on Facebook said that, I could come in here and buy a car with 3 grand. No, I didn't. I'm saying the amount of money when you're under 20 grand to put down to make everything look good. I mean, you can try it without no money down. You might get approved, but a solid down payment to make everybody happy would be the amount of your dealer fees, your taxes, and your tag. Okay. Those things are like important. So around here, we get taxed at 7%. I have an $889.50 doc fee. Your new tags somewhere between $500 and $1,000, just depending on, what you do. So right there, you're looking at 2 to 3 grand. And that's a solid down payment that covers everything. It covers your loan to value, which is, you'll hear them say LTV. The loan to value means the $20,000 loan on a car that's worth $20,000. That's 100%. So if they're loaning you $25,000 on a $20,000 car, that's way over 100%. A lot of banks don't want to do that, blah, blah, blah. But like I said, I'm not the banks. I'm just a sales guy trying to sell cars and trying to, help out my customers and stuff. But at the end of the day, like, let's say you did want to finance a used car and he's like, well, I just want to be at like, 15,000. I get it. You're just looking for the best price. I deal with this every single day. And you're just looking for the best price. Okay. And I understand that, you look for the best payment, you look for the best price. I don't want to pay more than $200 a month. That's fine. But with a used car, we go back to that loan to value thing with the bank. Okay. The bank knows if you have a used car that, it might not have a warranty on it. It might break down in 2 months and then they have to deal with it with you. So I would say to get a used car on a first time buyer without a cosigner is kind of tough. I would think you would need at least half down. So if you got a $15,000 car, you need about $7,000 to $8,000 down to get that car on a used car. Okay. They'll still sell it to you, but like I said, the bank's the one putting the skin in the game. So they don't know you. I know you. I think you're wonderful people. I think you're great, awesome, superb people. But that's not how it functions at the bank and in business and stuff like that. And I know you think this is crazy, but that's the way it is. And another thing with the, as far as like getting a used car, a lot of them don't come with a warranty. And a warranty, means that if it breaks down in 3 months, you can get it fixed. And warranties do cost money. So, you're at $15,000, you're at $300 a month, and then all of a sudden you get bumped to $17,500. Well, that's going to make your payment go up to about $340, $350 a month. Okay. Now, as far as like payments, you want the lowest payment, right? Well, the furthest most banks will go is 72 months. Okay, 72 months. Do the math, all right? 72 months, it's not a vehicle's not a house. We can't go 20 years. If we could go 20 years, guess what? I'd be a rich car salesman. I'd sell a lot more cars if I could sell you a $40,000 car at $100 a month. Okay, that'd be nice. I would absolutely love that. Don't get me wrong. But I do have to go by the rules, and so do you. 72 months is like as far as it goes. So me as a salesman, when I'm walking around on the lot and stuff, and a customer just comes up, how much is this one? How much is this one a month? I look at the price, okay? And let's say it's 40,000, okay? You take the first two numbers, which is 40, add a 0 and multiply that times 2. That's $800 a month. If it's 30,000, 30, add a 0, multiply that times 2. That's $600 a month. If it's 20,000, $400 a month. If it's 10,000, $200 a month. Okay. If it's 50,000, $1,000 a month. If it's 60,000, $1,200 a month. Okay. So you take those first two numbers of the price, add a 0, multiply it times 2. That's pretty much going to be a roundabout spot where your payment's going to be. Okay. And then your credit's going to do the rest. Not going to get into credit. Usually in the car business, because we're talking about first-time buyers, but usually in the car business, above a 730 is solid, as far as like getting the specials you see on TV and stuff. But it's different at every dealership, so don't quote me on that. And also, when it comes down to your credit, you need something called credit depth, okay? Credit depth. If you have a $500 credit card and your credit's 730 because you've been making your payments on time, you're trying to get things going right, that doesn't mean anything. You're still a 0. There's like 28 ways to pull your credit, okay? Your little Credit Karma app isn't going to tell you this, all right? So there's like 28 different ways to pull your credit. Well, obviously, we want you to be a 730 with depth. But if you don't have depth, the bank can see that. So what I mean by depth is you've never had a loan that was bigger than like $10,000. You've never put a loan on a house. You've never bought a car. You've never done a big loan. So you need credit depth. So if you've got $300, $500 credit cards, you're doing great on them. That doesn't mean you can come in and buy a $50,000 truck. You've got to get that credit depth. Now, here's the good news, okay? Let's say you came in for a Camry and, I talked you into a Corolla because that's what your credit lets you do. And that's what your money lets you do. So we're at 25. You put 5,000 down, we got you to 400 a month, 450, whatever, whatever we got you to. And you're like, I like this Corolla. It's a good car. But I really wanted that Tacoma, Well, make your payments on time for 16 months straight. Build your credit, okay? Get that credit depth. Then you have depth, and then you can come back and start talking about buying cars with no money down and different things like that. That shows the bank that you're serious. It shows that you put money down. You did a lot of things to make you solid, which is what we call it. You know what I mean? I try to explain things in normal terms, because, like I said, you get a lot of these guys, these yahoos will come up to you and say, "Hey, your LTV is blah blah blah." Dude, you don't work here. You know what I'm saying? And you don't know the terms. So I figured I'd do a little video to help you out. Now, if you have any questions, feel free to hit me up with any questions. But like I said, this is for your first time buyers. Your kids coming out of school, wanting to buy a car, you want to establish credit. Now, last thing, cosigner. Let's say they go in and, they're at 25, they had got $1,000 down. A lot of times they're going to tell you need a cosigner. Well, with a cosigner, you can't just go get your buddy and be your cosigner. You need a cosigner to be on the deal with you that has a very good credit score and has credit depth, has all those things I was telling you that you need. And they're going to be responsible for that car if you don't make the payments. If you don't, if you screw up on the loan or something, if you wreck the car, their name's on it. So you need to understand that with a cosigner. Be more careful, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? That's just basic knowledge. But when they tell you you need a cosigner, don't call up your buddy who has the same credit as you and never bought a car and use them. Try to call mom or dad, see what their credit is, try to get a family member or somebody that, trusts you and knows you. Or however, I want to sell you a car. So I really don't care where your cosigner comes from as long as they check out. That's between you and your cosigner. So a lot of times you can get by these things on a first-time buyer with a strong cosigner. Like instead, you don't, if you got a cosigner that has an 840 credit score and you're a first-time buyer, you don't need to put money down. You'll just get the higher payment, blah, 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 but you don't need to put money down if you have that higher credit score on there. But if you're by yourself, safe bet, 20,000 out the door. New car, that's where you need to be to make things as easy as possible with the least amount of money down possible. That's how you get a car deal done on a first-time buyer. Thank you